was born in 1769 on the Italian island of Corsica, which France had seized 15 months before his birth. His family was of Italian nobility, so he spoke French with an Italian accent. Enrolled at the age of 9 in a French military school and was being bullied by his colleagues because of his Italian origins. Graduated from the school to enter the Royal War College in Paris, where he finished his studies in 1 year due to his intelligence, and to start his practical life when he was 16 years old. He was frustrated by the reality in which he found himself in it. After he was a fanatic of his Italian origins, he used to blame his father a lot because he did not make him stay in Corsica and grow up as an Italian, and after he lived in France he changed this belief and became proud that he was French. But this did not authorize him to occupy high positions in the French army after he finished his studies, as the higher positions were only available to the children of the rich and aristocratic classes of the French. So he returned to his country of origin, Corsica, for 2 years and tried to persuade the people there to accept the French and Corsica to be affiliated with France. But they refused this invitation from Bonaparte and told him to be executed, and he had fled with difficulty. He was disappointed again. He fled to France, and there the French Revolution had risen and got rid of the monarchy and established the French Republic. So he seized the opportunity and became a subordinate of the murderous revolutionary leader Maximilian Robespierre, who was the actual teacher of Napoleon. Maximilian entrusted him with the task of eliminating the demonstrations called by the supporters of the monarchy. What was from Bonaparte except that he employed all his criminal qualities and committed the most horrific crimes with these royalists, as he ordered his soldiers to bomb the demonstrators, whose number was close to 20,000, and he bombed them with artillery and used bombs which similar to cluster bombs to kill the largest possible number of demonstrators, and with this he achieved his first goals and became very close to the French government and Maximilian at the same time.
Fire! Alle shot fire!
After the end of the era of terror in France and the execution of the leader of the revolution, Maximilian, Bonaparte's influence weakened, but the opportunity came to him again, so he married the widow Josephine de Beauharnais, who had 2 sons and was of power, influence and wide relations with the nobility classes. After that, the French government assigned him the task of carrying out 2 military campaigns against the coalition of states opposing France in 1799. And he succeeded in this mission, and the important factor that contributed to his success was one of his smart military ideas, which was to convert artillery into a mobile weapon in battle. When he returned to France after his victory in these 2 military campaigns, the French government was weak at the time, so he launched a coup against it and established a government consisting of 3 consuls in its place, and he assumed the position of the first consul, and after a while and in succession his military victories over the Europeans declared himself Emperor of France with help the French Senate. After Napoleon carried out several wars against the alliance of Austria, Britain, Russia and other European countries, and his victory over them in several important battles, he made France a major center in it and deliberately interfered in the affairs of almost all European countries, where he established alliances with some countries and appointed some of his relatives and friends on other countries' thrones. Then he wanted to start with his enemies, so instead of attacking Britain head-on, he launched a military campaign against Egypt to cut Britain's route to India and hit their commercial interests and choke them economically. And after he sent his forces to the land at night, Napoleon made a call to the Egyptian people, asking them to cooperate with him and that he had converted to Islam and became a friend and protector of them. But all these lies were not believed by the Egyptians and they resisted him violently. Among the documents which founded in his will to the leader Clipper, who was left by a military ruler in Egypt, Napoleon said, "If you want to rule Egypt for a long time, you must respect the religious feelings of people and respect the sanctifies of their homes." This is evidence that the Egyptian people did not remain silent on tyranny of Napoleon. Napoleon was paranoid after he had achieved great victories over the Europeans, so he sent a military campaign in the winter to invade Russia, but this campaign failed due to the severe cold there. After the defeat of Napoleon in his battle against Russia, the Europeans thought that peace would prevail in the region, but they thought this was disappointed. As soon as Napoleon returned to France, he began to compulsorily recruit children and youth and rebuilt his army, and in 1813 he decided to invade the German provinces, and Austria was resurrected, with alliances with several European countries, and when the battle began, Napoleon defeated the European armies at first, so the coalition demanded a peace armistice from Bonaparte that lasted for 3 months. Then, after its end, the battles continued for 2 months, and the French retreated after them under the Allied strikes. Because of the betrayal of Napoleon's allies such as the Netherlands and Bavaria, Napoleon was then forced to abdicate, where the turning point and great fracture was the Battle of Leipzig, at which time Napoleon's army began to retreat. The terrifying specter of war hovered somewhere on the European continent for 20 continuous years, that is, from the rise of Napoleon's star until he was forced to step down from power. The French Revolution, which provided him with his first experiences in wars, had a profound effect on his outlook on life. As he said, "A spirit of permanent hostility must prevail between the kings of the past and the young republics, that every peace treaty does not mean in the current situation anything more than a short-term armistice." The Allied countries, after forcing Napoleon to abdicate the throne, exiled him to the island of Elba. Napoleon escaped from his exile after less than a year and returned to the throne of France and tried to resist his enemies' European allies and restore his glory, but they defeated him in the Battle of Waterloo in 1815. Bonaparte surrendered afterwards, and the Europeans exiled him to the island of St. Helena, where he spent the last 6 years of his life and is said to have committed suicide by drinking poison. His last words when he died were, "France, Army, Captain, Josephine."